Welcome back to Barbecue and Bottles. I'm Jared, and today we've got another steak experiment in store for you, and this one I'm really excited about. This one a bunch of people online have done. We've seen Guga do it, we've seen Uncle Roger rave about this, and that is an MSG steak versus a regular kosher salt steak. So one of these we're gonna get seasoned up just with our kosher salt, the other we'll do salt plus some MSG, and I am really keen to see the difference here. Some of the results that people are claiming online are totally shocking. So we're gonna put this to the test and see how we prefer it. So if you're into that kind of thing, stick with us. So this is just gonna be really simple. We've got 2 bone-in USDA prime ribeyes, and we're just gonna go in there, generous amount of kosher salt. These are thick boys, so we're not worried about over seasoning these, but use however much salt that you guys prefer. Get that down on both, flip it over, do the same on the other side. Perfect. Get the salt out of the way, and now we're using MSG. Now this MSG, it's actually pretty cheap. So this bag right here, which is a pound, was about $14 or $15 off Amazon. We'll drop a link to the brand that we're using just in case you want to replicate this. And when you look at MSG, it's pretty interesting. The actual texture, they're like lines of salt. They're not pyramid shaped. They're almost like little rectangles of salt. And apparently MSG, it activates the glutamine receptor in your tongue, which is linked with the flavor profile of umami. So we all know that umami pairs really well with steaks. Mushrooms have a ton of umami flavor in them, and they pair great with steak. So adding MSG to a steak supposedly brings out that umami flavor profile. So that's what we're really gonna test. Go on with generous amount of this umami, get that patted in, flip it over, do the same on the other side. So now that we've got these steaks seasoned up, we're gonna let them rest here for 20 minutes before we get the grill ripping hot and sear these off. So we're just gonna get the grill fired up here. We're getting our sear station on high. Whew, there we go. So that's the middle 2 burners, plus there's an additional 3rd burner when you're searing off steaks. So we're just gonna get this grill preheated. It'll get up to about 700 degrees Fahrenheit, and we'll get these steaks on. So we're up over 600 Fahrenheit here, so it's time to get these steaks on the grill. So we'll go in first with our MSG steak. Get that up top. Get our salt steak down below. Just look at those guys, 2 beauty steaks. So we'll let that go for 90 seconds, and then we'll rotate it 90 degrees to get those perfect grill marks. Let it go for another 90 seconds before flipping it and doing the same on the other side. Now these steaks, we're looking for a final internal temp of 130. So once we've done our flips and turns and everything, if we're not at 120, then we'll finish these off indirect. They are thick steaks, so we might have to do that. All right, we'll flip these 90 degrees. Let it go for another 90 seconds. So time to flip these guys over. Just look at that. Got all that marble just rendering out, bubbling on the surface of the steak. Give these guys a final spin. All right, we're just gonna move these steaks off to the side here now. Gonna turn off the burners underneath that. We'll just stick with the burner on the far side of the grill. Turn that down nice and low, close the lid, and we'll finish that off indirect. You can see the temps right now. We're still at 92, 90 degrees internal temp. So the inside of these steaks are still nice and raw, even though the exterior's got that Maillard reaction crust that we're looking for. So we'll give these another 5 or so minutes there just to finish up cooking, and then it's time for a taste test. So we've got this one reading 130 here, 129, so it's time to pull that off. So we've got our salt steak, we've got our MSG steak right there. So we'll let these rest for 5 or 10 minutes before we carve in and do the taste test. So we're gonna come in here, just carve these guys off the bone. These were USDA prime rib steaks. So it's basically a ribeye still with the bone on it. So we'll get that bone removed. Now time to carve in. Got that wall-to-wall medium rare that we're looking for here. Now we'll cut into the next steak. And again, just look at that beautiful wall-to-wall medium rare. So for this one, I'm gonna take 2 pieces. We'll carve those into little slices. And we're gonna get Kai to help us out again and do a blind taste test. So I'm gonna get out my trusty mask. We're gonna use this as a blindfold. We've got a ton of these in the house, more than we're ever gonna need. So I'm gonna get Kai to pass me a piece on a fork. I'm gonna taste test both of them, and then I'll see if I can actually tell the difference.
First, let's do a little.
These steaks are both the same level of doneness. So I think they've got a similar level of crust. There's no difference between the texture of the salt on the surface.
That's right in between your hands, the fork, so you can't tell what side it came from. Right in the middle there.
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, I've got a guess on that one. But I'm gonna taste the next one just to make sure I can taste test both of these before I give you my opinion.
Okay.
Actually, maybe that's not quite as clear cut as I thought it was gonna be. If I had to guess, I'm gonna say that I think the first one was the MSG steak and the second one was the regular one.
The first one was with this one.
Oh, so I got it wrong. So there you go. Like, to be honest, I don't know that there's a huge difference here between the two. I thought the first bite maybe had a little bit more of that umami flavor profile to it. I'm gonna try this again.
Yeah.
See if I can tell a difference.
That's the same piece, I think, of the second.
That's a great steak, don't get me wrong. I just don't know that it actually has any more umami flavor or difference of a flavor profile than just the regular salt seasoned steak. Kai, we gotta get you in here to see if you can tell the difference between these two.
Okay.
This is the regular salt,
Okay.
so I'll cut you off a piece there. Try that one.
So this is salt.
And then this is the salt plus MSG.
Okay.
And now try that piece and see if you can tell the difference. Can you smell any difference between them?
I feel like this one I did get a bigger punch, but it could just be like a placebo or something, but it felt like I noticed a sweeter taste. I think I like this one more.
Why? What is it about the flavor profile that you like the salt one better?
Something about the sweetness of that. I just feel like the steak normally should be saltier.
Yeah, than have anything
Sweeter.
sweet to
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Well, there you have it, folks. In my mind, I couldn't tell much of a difference, if any, between these. Kai thought, frankly, the MSG gave it a bit of a sweet flavor profile. I know there's guys like Guga and Mamau out there who think there's a huge difference. Personally, I didn't see it. I'd love to hear if you try this experiment at home, what your findings were, so drop a comment down below if you try it. So thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate your time and sticking through to the end of this video. If you learned something, smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for tuning in.